It's been a difficult week for the euro. The single European currency is again looking weak and borrowing costs are rising to near record highs for member states trying to cope with mountains of debt. After Ireland's bailout and the austerity programme it announced yesterday, nervous investors are looking at Portugal and Spain. There's been some talk about the attractions for financially troubled countries if they were to leave the eurozone. But would that really make a difference? Well, joining me now from central London is economist Philippe Legrain, author of Aftershock, Reshaping the World Economy After the Crisis. Thank you for being with us. Is it fair to say it's all done?
I don't think so. I think we're in a period of financial panic where markets are lumping together countries which have very different economic and financial circumstances, but which happened all to belong to the euro. In the case of Greece, it was because the government borrowed far too much. In the case of Ireland, it was because it had a huge housing bubble which turned into a banking crisis and where the government mistakenly stepped in to guarantee all the debts of the banks. If you look at Spain and Portugal, Spain has a lower budget deficit than Britain does. It also has a lower debt level relative to the size of its economy than Britain does. And really, there is no reason whatsoever why Spain ought to be under attack at the moment, save for the fact that, in a financial panic, people lump all sorts of different things together.
Well, that's exactly the point, isn't it? It isn't necessarily a kind of rational process. And would you accept, though, that if, and I know you're saying it's an if Spain were the next, that would not just stress the Eurozone and the euro, it could pretty much bust it?
Well, I think the probably, if the panic continues, the next in line is most likely to be Portugal. Clearly, Spain being a much larger economy, if were to decide that they were not willing to buy Spanish bonds anymore, then this becomes a self-fulfilling crisis. But the fact is that the European Commission, the European Union members, the IMF have all made clear that they stand ready to intervene if necessary. And there really is no reason whatsoever why Spain should need to call on this based on its fundamentals. As I said, its debt levels are sustainable and so is its deficit.
I hear that, like the banks here, people said they were too big to fail. I mean, Spain is in that state when you think of sovereign countries.
Sure. I mean, its banks, though, are in much better state than Britain's or certainly Ireland's. And it's certainly true that if markets were to push things so far for Spain to require help, that would be very, very damaging indeed. Hopefully, it won't come to that. All
right, Philippe Legrain, thank you very much. Thank you. A week today.